Yeah, he didn't do it. Only changed them. Hey, did you go back? Did you switch them?
All right, and we're back from the break. I want to thank everybody for sticking around. We've got David Pacman in the house here. I've got Mike. We're going to talk about the Obama jobs bill. I know Mike and I have been talking about it for about a week now, and I'm not sure where I stand on it. I told Mike that I wasn't necessarily convinced that fixing schools and those kind of things were going to be the answer. I do believe that we need to, take care of the teachers and some of the firemen and policemen and so on. But, is this the right way to go?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's the right way to go. I mean, I believe something needs to be done. Obviously, we know what the unemployment rate is in this country. I mean, the real numbers are somewhere above 16%. But there's no bill yet. Is the thing that everybody keeps fighting about the bill. There's no bill yet. This guy, he just came out with a plan. Nothing's been put on paper. There's nothing for anybody to vote on. So I think, it remains to be seen what is actually in the bill, and then we'll see what the fight is going to be. It's always going to be about how we're going to pay for it. But he had a nice speech. Let's see what the plan actually looks like on paper, what is going to get proposed, what Congress is going to vote or not vote for, and take it from there. But I think it's a good start. I think it's going to have. I think the Republicans are going to have to finally argue about why they're not willing to spend in the infrastructure or spend in the country. I don't know. I think it's going to actually make them have to explain their position.
And I think there's a side argument that goes along with the jobs bill, which is the issue of poverty. And we've been talking about this a lot on my program because we had the new poverty numbers from the Census Bureau, which show they're really shocking. I think 12% of children under 6 are living in poverty. That's more than 1 out of 10, which is incredible. Single moms are disproportionately affected by poverty. If I recall correctly, 40% of single mothers are actually living in poverty. And when you ask Republicans, I think neither party actually really cares very much about poverty. But when you ask Republicans about it, they say, well, we do care about it. We care about it through jobs. When we talk about jobs, we're actually talking about poverty, because the way to get people out of poverty is if they're working. Well, if that's the case, and jobs are the number one priority, like John Boehner said the day after Republicans took over the House,
right,
why are they delaying President Obama's speech about jobs? Why are they fighting so many of the components of Obama's plan, which are things they've proposed in the past?
That is exactly why, because Obama is behind it. So now all of a sudden it's not their plan anymore, it's his plan, and how can we give him credit for anything?
It's about credit, it's about political posturing. Imagine if they pass this quickly, like President Obama asked for, and it actually works, which it probably will, because it has pretty basic things in it that we know from history will create jobs. Then what do they do? What do they run on? They'd have to say, what? What do they say?
Right, that's all it's about. And we always have this argument here on this show, and in my point of view, Republicans are not really concerned about governance. It's all about staying in power.
Yeah,
now,
if we're honest,
on both sides,
right.
But the Republicans are the ones that are on this all the time, and I don't understand that. You're right, why they don't pass this quickly. But again, let's see what the bill ends up looking like, and let's see.
Well, President Obama basically said what he wants in it, right?
Right.
We have this tax cut for hiring employees, people who have been out of work more than 6 months, and then there's a number of different things in it. There's deductions, and there's credits, and there's spending on infrastructure. The thing is that I'm almost going back in my head to term limits again, right? If we had term limits on any of the people we have term limits on the president, but on the members of Congress, maybe they wouldn't be as concerned about political posturing. But you know what? I could be wrong about that, because you still would have the Republican National Committee, and the Republican National Committee would still say, well, even if these Republicans won't be in office, we've got to be able to have the same things to say for the ones that we want to replace them and come in next.
So if you want to replace these guys, this is
exactly
what you got to.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I would just talk myself out of term limits. Actually, maybe it's not really.
Well, you see, and that's the argument that we've had, is that as much as I agree that term limits would be strong, would it be a deterrent? But then it's like anything else. You need somebody to have the proper amount of time who goes in there to build. The problem is so many of these guys, and I do believe that some people want to do it for the right reason. They get motivated. They're in a room. They start somewhere. The second you start seeing the money and the jobs and the list goes on and on and on as to what happens to these guys once they're there.
And then they have to start running for re-election years before, right? So you only get part of a term, really. Then you're busy campaigning again.
Isn't it like for a congressman? typically has to start running for re-election like 14 months prior to the election, something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, these guys are constantly on campaign mode.
Now, do you guys think? Have you guys been watching the Republican debates?
Sometimes I just want to shoot myself, so
If you had to vote for someone from there, who would it be?
if I had to vote for someone from there, I don't know if I stayed home that night, but if I had to vote, I don't know. I mean, what
That's a good. You know what? And I'm just thinking the whole scenario because I got a really good friend. He's a diehard Republican, and he asked me the same thing. He goes, "Who do you vote for?" And I said, "Pull the trigger." But in all sincerity,
If you had to pick someone.
If
Yeah,
I had to pick someone, I'll say, Ron Paul.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah.
I was going to say Michelle Bachmann.
No. Well, but who? Okay. Well, that's a goof, right? I mean, that's a joke.
Well, it is. It would
No,
be.
no, it's not a joke, man.
I did
Not
say,
because she's closest to your beliefs, because
Yeah.
if you strategically you would find it funny if she actually won or something like
Yes.
that. So here's the thing about Ron Paul. I had this guy Robin Kerner on my show who started this thing called Blue Republicans, and he's going around saying that liberals and progressive independents should vote for Ron Paul because they're similar on so many beliefs.
On some, yeah.
And I just don't agree. We actually debunked this whole thing on my show last week. And if we look at a lot of issues, liberals sometimes get confused into thinking Ron Paul actually agrees with them. So, for example, liberals will hear, well, okay, gay marriage, right? Ron Paul, he says he doesn't want, he's against a federal ban on gay marriage. He wants the states to decide. You look at that quickly and you say, oh, that sounds pretty liberal. Yeah, that's pretty good. No, because liberals actually want to make sure that no one is going to be discriminated against, and they wouldn't allow states, because a lot of states would pass discriminatory
Absolutely.
laws. There's a big difference. Same thing with corporations. Ron Paul says it's unconstitutional for the government to regulate corporations. He doesn't want the government involved at all. A quick glance from a young liberal, or a young wide-eyed, bushy-tailed naive liberal, it's like, oh, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds pretty liberal. No, because then what about making sure that there's not toxic plastic in bottled water
Right,
bottles,
right.
which there is. So there's a lot of confusion. I would vote for Huntsman if I had to vote for someone from the Republican Party.
Well, he definitely's got the experience.
No, my thing is that he's been very clear about evolution is real, climate change is real. We can't be the party of denying that this stuff exists when all of the science shows that it exists. I just thought he was so direct about it. It really struck me as sincere, and he does have experience. That's who I would vote for if I had to vote for a Republican.
Right, but he's not going to get the nomination.
He has no chance. He's
Right.
pro-science. There's no place for
That's
a
part of my
pro-science.
problem with it, and I think that's why, like I said, for me it was a goof because again, I agree with you 100%.
Well, I'm not saying if I had to strategically. I'm just saying who would I feel the least bad about voting for if it was an honest vote, and it would be Huntsman.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I know I don't want Newt.
So you don't want Perry, man, from Texas?
Are you kidding me?
Perry appeals to the average uninformed voter in the same way George W. Bush did, which
Yep.
is very scary to me
Yep.
because that means he could win.
Yes, absolutely. When you see him being on so many polls, such an enormous front runner, and the numbers that he has, and just the growth and the gain, and where he's now decided, at least according to the news this afternoon, he doesn't want to back off on most of his points. His whole thing is, I'm going to stand by my rhetoric, and I'm going to continue with
Who
this
does that
path.
remind you of?
Michelle Bachmann?
No, it reminds me of George W.
Oh, yeah,
Bush.
oh, yeah.
true.
I'm going to keep it. I've
Right.
said it. I'm sticking with it.
Right.
There's no, so I agree with you. I honestly think that where even 2 weeks ago, I would have thought there's not a snowball's chance. And I really thought that Bachmann hit him well with how we were talking about earlier, but the whole drug thing and, was it HPPV?
Yeah, the
HPV
vaccine.
And I thought, oh, there it is. Fine. No, it didn't. If anything, it raised his donor base. These people went nuts.
The other thing, it's like when Sarah Palin gets criticized, when she says something incredibly stupid, and then she gets criticized rightly. Like, for example, Paul Revere told people that we were going to take their guns or our guns, whatever she said. Then she gets criticized, rightly so. And then people on the right, they start defending her because they say, oh, it's a hit job. So actually, sometimes saying insane stuff will get you more support. It makes no sense.
Well, and not only that, people on the right go to Wikipedia and try to change the facts
Oh, right, yeah.
to fit her
That was
her
unbelievable.
statements.
That's
That
happened
was-
with Bachman and Palin.
Yeah, well, it's funny, man. But,
Yeah.
what can you do? I mean, but the thing is, that is the best the Republicans can put up there, man. That's pretty amazing to me.
Yeah.
It's a crazy bunch.
All right, we're going to our third and final break of the hour. We've got David Packman in studio with us. This is Mike and Phil. You're listening to the Three Guys Rant on AdrenalineRadio.com. You can also catch us on Indy104.com. We'll be right back after the break. Actually, my point with thing was that also, I just thought, I think Payton's cute as well. I think Bachman's cute. And then when she was up there with all them guys, she was hugging that thing. And I'm like, right there, man, I tell Mike, that's my candidate right there. I said I want to see Bachman Palin. That's the ticket I want. They're nuts.
They're crazy.
Palin's
not going to run.
I'm sorry?
I don't think Palin will run.
No.
I know.
She knows she can't win.
But did you see her numbers? She's number 3 still.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Newt, what the hell is Newt doing there, man? He's just trying to keep his.
No,
his
but you know what,
paying
dude?
gigs.
I wonder if it backfired on him because he honestly thought, at least when he came out and he raised the first $1 million so quickly, I wondered if he thought it was he had a viable chance.
I actually think Newt is probably the smartest. Like, if there was a debate where it was like, not you get 30 seconds, you get 30 seconds, but they sit there for hours and they talk stuff out, I wouldn't agree with him. But I think he knows the most depth on the issues.
Yeah, I think again, he comes back to experience, what he did.
Yeah.
And like you say, regardless of what he's putting out there,
Right.
at the end of the day, he knows the backside
Yeah.
on both sides of the aisle. He can handle it. I agree with you. I think he would be the smartest of the group.
Yeah.
But he also scares me because he comes from the whole warmonger set of guys that just, let's blow something up.
Yeah.
And that bothers me to another level. So that's why. But when I saw, I told Mike, what really sold me when I said I'm in love with Bachman, when she said in her I can have $2 gas. I said, man, I drive an Expedition in California. I need $2 gas.
Right.
I'll vote for her tomorrow.
And what's funny is that she believes she can get you $2 gas.
See, do you think she believes that?
Yes. I think she's that
I don't
crazy.
know.
No, bro, come on. She just makes a statement. I mean,
I think she's an idiot. And she believes she can do it.
You'd think someone on her campaign would be like, it's going to be hard to do. You might not want to promise that.
yeah, but I wonder about some of these campaign staffs. When you hear the stuff that goes on, you're like,
How does someone allow that?
Yeah. Did nobody vet this information?
Right.
Did nobody spell check this information? I mean,
And it's not like she has some really crazy people running her campaign, man.
that's my point.
So did you not?
You ever call her?
Yeah.
They're going to that low information voter. I mean, the people that are just
Yeah.
gonna, freaking. I mean,
I know Armin's bummed because we had naked women here and the freaking board was lit up. We have real
Was it?
topic. Oh my God,
yeah,
man. We had all the pervs. I mean, everybody. It was ridiculous, man. That's us.